Welcome to the Brand Theory Podcast, the podcast for helping you uncover your passion, realize your purpose, and take the aligned action. Together, we're going to prove the theory that when we live our lives on brand, the possibilities become limitless. I'm your host, Danielle Marquesi, branding expert and business coach. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Brand Theory Podcast. Today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about growth and how in the beginning it can feel really icky and scary to do certain things inside of our business or just anything in general, but how much of an impact it possibly has to make and how we just need to keep going even when things don't look good or we're doubting ourselves or that fear just keeps knocking at the door. I really want to take a second to appreciate and share a little story that happened this week. And I find it funny. Maybe you don't find it funny. Fully recognize that. But at the end of it, I hope you just can walk away feeling like, oh, okay, if she can do this, I can do this. Now, this week, I was talking to a lot of people about the Boss Up Mastermind. By the way, as of August 2nd, when I'm recording this episode, there are a few spots left. There's one VIP spot and one regular spot. The Boss Up Mastermind is a 6-month, possibly 7-month program. It's a group coaching program which combines the one-on-one support of a coach, aka me, with the support of like-minded individuals in a group setting. So we have 2 monthly online calls. We have, depending on which level you choose, you've got a one-on-one call with me. And we really just work together to mastermind, but plan and strategize about the future of your life and your business and really get to the bottom of what needs to be done to reach your specific goals sooner rather than later. So we do different things inside of mindset strategy, brand strategy, marketing strategies, overall business strategies, and also just kind of band together, go through the trenches a little bit together, and just really make sure we're supporting each other as we work towards that next level. So if this sounds like something you would want, definitely reach out to me. Like I said, there's only a few spots left, 1 VIP spot and 2 regular, 2 possibly maybe 3 regular spots available. I like to do different levels to meet people's different investment levels and support levels and all that good stuff. So definitely hit me up in those DMs if you want to reserve that spot sooner rather than later. I have a feeling that these last few will go fairly quickly. Anyway, so I was talking to some people this past week about the program, sharing details and all of that. And one woman in particular, we were talking back and forth, we were sending voice notes, all that good stuff. And she said, by the way, even if I decide to not do the program, I just want you to know that you have such a big impact. You resonated with me. I've been talking to a lot of coaches, and you are the one who really resonated with me and spoke to me in a different format. And I just want you to know that I appreciate it. And she said something along the lines of, please know that people are listening to you. Now, this really struck me. It actually made me tear up. So if you are listening to this podcast, please know how grateful and how much I appreciate that comment. And it just was one of those moments of, holy shit. I started this podcast not that long ago. I started this business 3 years ago. I started these programs not that long ago. I did this, that, not that long ago. And it just made me realize, wow, I really have come so far in a short amount of time. But I do remember a time where I was so doubtful that this would work. I was never the lucky one, quote unquote, right? I never felt like I was the winner at anything, or I never felt like I could be that one to make a difference. I was just one person, and that's just it. I am just one person. One person, what you say in an Instagram caption, in a podcast, in an email, in a phrase, in a story, can have an impact on somebody's entire life, on their entire mindset. Your one comment can be the thing that leads to them making a decision that changes their course of their entire life and business. Now, that can sound like a ton of pressure, but let's look at it as when we're scared to post the picture, to post the caption, to write the email, to start the podcast, to start the business, to launch the new program, to reach out to that person who you really want to work with. When we are scared, take comfort in the fact that one person can benefit tremendously from what you are sharing. I always say we need to show up like we are speaking to a room full of 1,000 people and be okay with just impacting one person, because you never know if that one person really needed to hear what you have to say. So if you're scared, know that there's one person out there who needs you, at least one, right? This is just one example, but the funny part of this story was, as I was getting ready to record this podcast, I had a completely different plan for this. So I went back and I was listening to a really old IGTV story that I did about 5 ways to grow your business or something like that. But I was literally cringing at myself, listening to myself record this IGTV. I just looked very uncomfortable. I just looked a little bit unnatural, a little bit too scripted, a little bit just trying too hard almost. And not that we shouldn't try hard in our businesses and what we put out there and what we say and the content we produce. But I remember that day, I remember just feeling like a little uncomfortable because it was something new to me. I had just started doing IGTVs. I had just started sharing content in that way at that level. So I was thinking to myself, wow, this is so uncomfortable to go back and watch this. I can't believe, first of all, anybody ever watched this. But second, I just feel like we have come as a business, as a person, so far from that day of being so uncomfortable to now sharing a podcast, sharing IGTVs, getting up on lives, sharing stories where people are messaging me that they're impacted by this, that it is resonating with them, that is influencing them in a certain way. I would never be able to see that, to get to that point without actually starting and going through that phase of feeling uncomfortable, going through that phase of feeling fearful of getting up on an IGTV story and pushing myself beyond those limits. You don't get to the point where you feel good about it until you work through all that stuff. And really, moral of this story is, and what I hope that you take away from this is, start. This is going to be a big theme through this podcast, and it is a big theme through everything that I do, write, say, produce, content-wise, program-wise, anything. Action equals results. Action plus a lot of faith, a lot of belief, that's what equals your results. It is not enough to think about it and think about it and think about it. Make it the excuses, let the fear take over, and never do anything about it. That does not equal change. It is the idea, the vision, plus the action and the faith equals the results. So if you are feeling like you need to do something, you need to make the change, do it. That is my biggest piece of advice for you today. Take the action to make the change. With that, I will leave you, and I will see you next week. I hope whatever you do today, you do something that your future self thanks you for. Have a good one.